Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Wednesday. And for the Kansas City Royals, it's a victory Wednesday. It's a series win on the north side. It's a 500 road trip. And it's an even more complicated question for J.J. Picollo to answer. What to do with the trade deadline just a week away. Royals win it 8-4 this afternoon. For those of you who were tuned in through the ball game, thanks for sticking with us. And for those who are just tuning in, thank you for joining us. We're with you until 6 o'clock on 580 Sports Talk here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com. And we are streaming on video, our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Our Facebook page is WIBW News. My name is Dan Lucero. Spencer Dupuis is across the glass. Brendan Dworzinski's off today. Again, we will hang out with you until 6 o'clock this afternoon, reacting to a Royals series win, a fun day of baseball from a Royals perspective at Wrigley Field today. 4 two-run home. Tyler Tolbert hit a home run. If you told me when I woke up this morning that Tyler Tolbert was going to hit a home run, I would have assumed gale force winds out to left field at Wrigley Field today, or I would have assumed it was of the inside the park variety. All due respect to the baseball abilities of Tyler Tolbert, who is a better baseball player than 99.99% of people ever to live. But power, not really his game. And yet, there he was, yoking a two-run shot, the fourth of the 4 two-run dingers the Royals would get on the afternoon. 2 of them coming from Vinny Pasquantino. Salvador Perez, another one as he continues to stay hot. And this summer power surge continues for the Royals as they win 2 out of 3. And if Philadelphia can beat Boston later tonight, the Royals will come back home only 3.5 games out of a playoff spot in the American League. So we will react to this Royals victory. We'll also later on this hour get around to what is wrong with you and speak with our guy, Tim Fitzgerald, to GoPowerCat.com for the Wildcat Wrap-up. We'll get Fitz's thoughts on all things K-State. Lots of movement on the basketball side of things, and football camp starts tomorrow for K-State. Players are in place, but the camp in earnest begins tomorrow with the first time we'll hear from Chris Kleiman after, I guess it's his first press conference day. So that always kind of feels like the first day when you first hear from the coaches. Thursday's the first day for KU as well. But we'll talk to Tim Fitzgerald bottom of this hour. Coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, might put it to the listener who you want to hear from today from Chiefs camp, because we've got Steve Spagnuolo and we got Chris Jones. Might ask the listeners, might let the listeners program the 5 o'clock hour, because I don't have the airtime to play them both. But we can hear from one. We hear from Spags. We can hear from Chris Jones.
I mean, both were pretty good. I listened to them in full earlier today.
So we're going to play one of them later on. And I might just leave it up to y'all. Let you vote in the YouTube chat and on the text line who you want to hear from as we talk about day 2 of Chiefs camp, day 2 of practice. Some interesting names running with the first teamers in practice today. We'll get to that. Play around a one gotta go, how our 580 Sports Talk headlines. It's a truncated edition, but we're going to cram it full of fun here on 580 Sports Talk. And, of course, we want to hear from you on the text line, 785-272-9429. You can also drop us a note if you are watching live on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. The chat is open for business. Andrew and Mark H. and Ryan and Christopher are already in today. Love to see you guys in. Looking forward to seeing more of you throughout the show. Join us again on the YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. The live chat lets you interact with your fellow listeners and your hosts as we go along. Royals beat the Cubs. They double them up 8-4 this afternoon. Royals get 2 in the first on a Vinny Pasquantino 2-run shot, and they never trail. A vintage Seth Lugo outing. Only fitting if it ends up being his last in a Royals uniform, which is a very real possibility. I try not to read too much sometimes into, every rumor, every tea leaf, every bit of smoke that's out there. But I thought it was pretty telling that on The Athletic and on ESPN.com in the last 24 hours, their articles about what their insiders are hearing about the trade deadline, the front page photograph was of Seth Lugo. Like, I don't think that's a coincidence. I think Seth Lugo is on the market. I think Seth Lugo, you know my stance on this, probably ought to be traded, even if the Royals think they can make a run. The complicating factor, of course, is not exactly knowing when you get Michael Lorenzen back. Optimistic, but not exactly knowing. The fact that they called up Rich Hill and didn't do a bullpen day suggests that it might be more than just one start Lorenzen misses. And Cole Reagans isn't really throwing yet, like not on a mound yet. So we're not to the point where he's close. It might not be till the end of August that we see Cole Reagans again coming off of his injury. So your starting pitching depth would take a massive hit with the trade of Seth Lugo. But that being said, if you feel like this team's best chance at a playoff berth is to simply catch lightning in a bottle, you get just ridiculously hot for the last month and a half like the Tigers did last year. The Tigers were able to accomplish that after trading one of their best starting pitchers in Jack Flaherty. So if you're going to repeat the formula, why not go all the way? So if that was Seth Lugo's final start as a Royal in 2025, he went out on a high note. 6 strong innings, 2 runs on 4 hits, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. He was at his best as the game went further along, finished with a flourish, back-to-back strikeouts in the 6th to end his day. And plenty of offense backing him. And be honest with us, folks. How many of you thought there was going to be plenty of offense from the Royals today when they ran out a lineup of Frazier, Garcia, Pasquantino, Perez, Caglione, Rave, Fermin, Isbell, Tolbert? How many of y'all thought that was a recipe for 8 runs?
Not a lot, because everybody on X was bashing Q.
Everybody who says they were expecting it is lying. Bobby Witt Jr.'s got a minor leg issue that they wanted to keep him off his feet today. Told the media he could have played if necessary, but they were able to give him a day off today. And in his place, Tyler Tolbert hit a home run. I mean, Tyler Tolbert hit a home run. I knocked me over with a freaking feather. Tyler Tolbert hit a home run. And Vinny Pasquantino hit a pair. Vinny's had a good year. We had mentioned that Vinny, since May, going into the second half of the season, Vinny, since May 1st, had led the American League in hits, but he'd come out of the break a little slow, and the average had started to dip a little bit, dipped under 270. So he had a bust-out day like today with a 3 for 4, not only the pair of home runs, but also a double and the 4 runs driven in. Also got on base with a walk, so he was on base 4 out of 5 times. He got to the plate. That was big. Royals needed that from Vinny. Because he had been not as productive coming out of the break as the Royals needed him to be. Salvador Perez has been super productive, obviously, in the month of July. He adds his 18th home run of the season, a 2-run shot in the 3rd inning. Both of Pasquantino's homers were of the 2-run variety as well. And you look at these last 3 games, and again, if you're trying to make the argument that the Royals should be buyers, you can point to these last 3 games and say that the Cubs came into this series with the best record in the National League, and over the course of 3 games, they were outplayed by the Royals. The Royals were not good last night in a 6-0 loss in the second game of the series, but that had more to do with Matthew Boyd right now pitching like prime Sandy Koufax for the last month and change. It's unbelievable. His last 8 starts, he's got an ERA in the 1s. That was just about running into a red-hot starting pitcher. Royals got a little sloppy defensively late in the game, but it was already they weren't scoring. Like that was a fait accompli. They were sloppy early. They didn't back my guy Rich Hill. But over the course of those 3 games, over the course of the 27 innings we saw, the Royals outplayed the Cubs. And some of that is just anything can happen in 27 innings of baseball. But if you are of the belief that the Royals are capable of playing playoff caliber baseball, this series was a point in your favor. And again, they've got a chance to come home on this flight. And tonight, if Philadelphia can beat Boston like they did last night, Boston has stumbled a little bit coming out of the All-Star break, then you're a full game closer to Boston, which means you're a full game closer to a wild card spot, and you're only 3.5 out. Going into 3 with Cleveland, who's right ahead of you in the standings, and 3 with Atlanta, who's not very good, at home. And so, at the very least, this is enough for J.J. Picollo to still hold his position, see what happens this weekend against Cleveland. Obviously, you're not giving yourself a first mover advantage at the trade deadline, which could potentially hurt the return you get on some of your players. That is certainly a factor here. But it's like we talked about the other day. I think there's a compelling argument for J.J. Picollo to give this team a chance and to go out and get some players rather than subtracting a guy like Seth Lugo, who, if you read the reporting from Ken Rosenthal, the Royals don't necessarily think that they would be unable to retain Seth Lugo's services for 2026 and beyond. They would expect, according to Rosenthal, to be competitive in trying to re-sign Lugo should Lugo, as everybody around the league expects, opt out of his $15 million option for 2026. And there's no reason the Royals can't give Seth Lugo $20 million a year. You can argue that it's not the wisest investment to do that for a 36-year-old starting pitcher, but the Royals could do it. So, if that's what the Royals want to do, if they want to maintain the relationship with Seth Lugo and say, look, we're going to bring you back next year. You can opt out, but we want, like Michael Wacha last year, we want the seat at the table. We want the first crack at negotiating with you, and we want to make you an offer to stay here. If you're proceeding from that perspective as the Royals, then yeah, that's another point in favor of trying to keep it together, see what it can be, and go out and get some players. But this also could have been Seth Lugo's final start as a Royal. We're no closer to a real solution on this. The Royals are certainly not making it easy on J.J. Picollo. They could have farted in that entire road trip and gone 1-5, and Picollo would spend the entire flight back to Kansas City on his cell phone. Or they could have just held on Friday night in Miami, come back 4-2, and then you'd be gung-ho, balls to the wall. Let's go get some guys. Let's go add to this thing. Instead, it's a mediocre 3-3 road trip, although it did end on a high note. It did end with an impressive series win, and J.J. Picollo no closer to an easy answer. Again, that's why I'm glad I'm not a general manager. We'll take our first break here on 580 Sports Talk. When we come back, it's What Is Wrong With You? And then Tim Fitzgerald of GoPowerCat.com will join us. That's coming up here on 580 WIBW. is What Is Wrong With You, Tom, on 580 Sports Talk, brought to you by our buddy Mo, State Farm Agent Ryan Mo Winkle. Give him a shout, 785-273-1572, if in fact you end up an unfortunate part of somebody's What Is Wrong With You story. Our current What Is Wrong With You champion for the week. Dude, where's our fire truck? Gentleman in Everett, Washington, stole a fire truck and drove off with it. It was at the site of a medical emergency, and when the fire crew came back to find their truck, it was gone. And guy driving the truck just went on a bit of a rampage, destroyed multiple parked vehicles, landscaping trees, direction signs, curbing, and ultimately disabled the fire engine itself. Beat it up so bad it couldn't drive any further, so he got out, ran away, and we still don't know today if they found the guy. And no idea if they have found the fire truck thief. So that is our current champion on What Is Wrong With You. We got two new stories today. First story, what's first rule of Fight Club, Spencer Dupuis?
You don't, well, it doesn't exist. You don't talk about it.
What's the second rule of Fight Club? You don't talk about Fight Club. Yeah. Those are the rules of Fight Club. There's also, if it's your first time at Fight Club, you have to fight. I don't know where on the list of rules for Fight Club, don't bring a gun to Fight Club.
I feel like that'd be on the list.
I feel like it should be on the list. Somebody brought a gun to a Fight Club in Long Island, New York. Gunfire broke out when someone brought more than just their fists to one of the brawls. The unauthorized Fight Club was staged Sunday in the back portion of a Brookhaven town park. Video from the event was posted on a social media page belonging to one of the organizers. The 19-year-old organizer, Malachi Lieutenant, said, quote, "We were promoting guns down, gloves up. It's not a fight club." The story repeatedly refers to it as a fight club. So, Lieutenant says the event's aim was, quote, to stop street violence and bring the youth together and bring the community together. But that is obviously not what happened. During the boxing event, a fight outside the makeshift ring erupted. One person fired a gun with blanks, and two teens were injured. Police are now investigating to see if the organizers' real intent was to stage the fighting for content that could be used to make money on social media. Lieutenant obviously disputes this claim. Brookhaven Town Supervisor Dan Panico, great name, said, "Tired of stupidity." And he believes the incident demonstrates how the push to create social media content can harm people and needs to stop. Guns down, gloves up. Yeah, somebody put the guns up. Somebody heard it wrong. Had it backwards. Put the gun up. At least they had blanks. Could have been a lot worse. Would not have been a What Is Wrong With You in that case. So that's our story. Somebody brought a gun to a fight club. What do you got, Spencer, for today?
Well, they might actually need our guy, Mo, in this story. An insurance agency needs insurance. A Florida man drove his Toyota over to the Univista agency in Lake Wales, Florida, and attacked it with a gun and Molotov cocktails just because the rival agency moved in too close to the competition. And police in Lake Wales, Florida, tracked down Jason Roberts last week. No, he wasn't a serial parking offender or delinquent on child support. He was a person of interest in an insurance agency on agency case of arson. So we'll just keep it real quick here. Basically, he runs an insurance company, and there was another insurance company around. So he's like, I don't want that. They're too close to me.
In the same shopping center.
Yeah. So
and
he threw Molotov cocktails at it.
And it's not even, he doesn't work for them. His sibling.
That's
what, a sibling that works at this the insurance company is called Univista. Univista Insurance. And Robert's sibling works for Univista's competition and was irritated that a rival agency had moved into the same shopping area. So we had like an insurance agency turf war that immediately went to Molotov cocktails. Like, I feel like that's not where you start, right?
No.
You maybe write a nasty gram, like one of those like ransom type notes, move out of this shopping center if you know what's good for you. You know, that kind of stuff. Like vague, sort of threatening like letters. You know, maybe the ding dong ditch with the bag of flaming dog poop, something like that. You don't go straight to Molotov cocktails.
Yeah. So how they found Robert They tracked him down after referring to surveillance footage from the local strip mall. The footage showed a Toyota near the insurance of that business. After checking the Toyota's registration, it belonged to a local laboratory testing company. And guess who worked there? Roberts.
Yeah, not real subtle about his crime.
Yeah, he's a courier for the company, so he would be the one to drive the vehicle.
That's really funny. I'm going to go with your story today. That's really funny to me.
Yeah.
That it was an insurance company turf war and went immediately to Molotov cocktails. You talk about a 0 to 100 real quick.
Yeah.
That's funny. You can maybe talk me into that beating dude, where's my fire truck? How do you feel?
I don't know. I just think the fact that they haven't found this guy yet, like he's gotten away from it. Like he stole a fire truck, rampaged it through the local area, causing millions of dollars in damages. And guess what? He's in the wind.
Yeah, he's in the wind. That is a very funny
aspect. There's no ring footage of it. Like they can't find any ring camera footage of him running through a neighborhood. There's no nothing. He's still in the wind. He's sitting out there laughing at people reading the story right now.
At the same time, like, it's a pretty simple story at the end of the day, right? Like,
yeah.
Guy steals an unoccupied fire truck. This guy started an insurance office turf war. Like, this is so stupid.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, okay. You're flipping me there. This was a last minute story change. I felt like I had another story I was going to air today, and it was not airable.
This is getting funnier the more I think about it.
Yeah.
You drive by any shopping center, it would not be a shock to see multiple like insurance agencies in the same shopping center on the same block or whatever it is. This guy thinks it's for Jets and the Sharks. He's throwing Molotov cocktail, and it's not even his business. It's his like sisters.
Yeah,
and
all because they moved in the same strip of the plaza or whatever.
The same strip of the plaza. Like not even next door, right?
Okay, I think we've talked ourselves into this one.
The insurance turf wars are weekly champion. It's getting funnier and funnier the more I think about it. That's going to be our new weekly champion on What Is Wrong With You, sponsored by State Farm agent Ryan Mo Winkle. Visit his website, RyanMowinkle.com. That's MOWINKLE.com. And I guess maybe stay out of his.
Don't go over there by the Sonic and Dairy Queen.
Yeah.
Stay out of that area.
No turf wars with Mo, please. We're going to take our time out. When we come back, Tim Fitzgerald, go Powercat.com. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline by Tim Fitzgerald of GoPowerCat.com for the Wildcat Wrap-up. We do it every Wednesday here on 580 Sports Talk. Fitz and the crew cover the Cats at GoPowerCat.com, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. Great time to become a VIP and get all the inside info on the Cats as football season is just around the corner. In fact, Fitz, football camp's underway. The boys are back in town, and they're getting revved up to start practicing. We're going to hear from Chris Kleiman, I believe, tomorrow.
Are we?
Maybe.
I need to go look at that. I know we've got something Thursday morning with an open practice, but I'm still acclimating to being off vacation.
Sure.
I want more vacation.
We all want more vacation.
Who doesn't want more vacation?
No doubt. No doubt. Because football is here. And what happened? How did it get here?
I sometimes I ask myself the exact same question. But, yeah, the gang's back in town. We're going to get back to football in just a little bit. But we had some news on the basketball roster front to talk about this week. C.J. Jones is back like he never left because he technically didn't. C.J. Jones returns to the K-State roster for 2025-26. And my reaction when the news broke, K-State certainly looking for, like any program now that still has roster spots, you're looking for veteran players who played some college basketball. K-State brings in one of those, somebody who knows their system, knows their culture. Those are all positives. The question is, can they make it where C.J. Jones is maybe not as vital to success as he was on last year's team that was not all that successful?
We just recorded a podcast for Friday and discussed this. And here's what's interesting is I think because he hit the portal, he's in a much worse position now than he was if he hadn't, because they recruited over him. They went and got a guy. And they still have an opportunity to bring in some guys. I think they're still grinding on a big man, but CJ never found an adequate home and came back, and I think he's going to play a lot less. But if he does play a lot less, that's probably a positive sign. It's not punitive towards CJ. It just means they're a better team. He brought some good things to the court, but for the most part, he was a role player that played too big of a role. And that pretty much sums up a lot of this last 2 years of K-State basketball.
We talked in the offseason about Kansas State having the desire to have more, and every program wants this. Kansas State's not unique in this, but Jerome Tang has talked about it, the desire to have more continuity. And so for me, even if C.J. Jones is just a guy who plays 5 minutes a game for you off the bench, if he's, your fourth or your fifth guard, at the very least, he's a guy who can come and help Coach Tang set some expectations for what it's going to take to get on the floor, because he was a guy last year who we kind of thought was going to be pretty low on the depth chart. And then there he was early in the year starting over Doug McDaniel, who was a guy who never really did get all the way bought into the expectations potentially of the program. So I have trouble. Like, I know it's an easy thing to maybe knock from the outside that, hey, this guy didn't have any nibbles in the transfer portal, so now he's back. But I really view it as nothing but positive for Kansas State in the sense that they're able to have somebody back who helps to maintain a little bit of the culture in what positive ways that can be maintained.
No, you're right. And this was a point I made on the podcast that I'm now ruining, but that's fun. Look, he can bring something to this program that it hasn't had for the last 2 years. And that is a returning player that can really act as the catalyst for getting everything started earlier. David Gasson never really did that because he went home. He was gone. He'd come back from Europe to, go to school, but he was gone playing in Europe quite a bit of the summer. You add in a guy like C.J. Jones, who's been here, done that, and now as all the players, hit into the summer conditioning and, get ready for the fall conditioning, he can really kind of usher in that transition into what they need to do in the fall when practices start, because I think they've lacked that. They've gotten off to slow starts all 3 seasons. I understand it, but in your 4th season, it shouldn't be a slow start, because the last 2 slow starts indicated a bad team. The first one just indicated a new team. But now I think I think they could be pretty good, and he can play a role in improving them.
Tim Fitzgerald, GoPowerCat.com, is our guest here on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline, joining us as he does every Wednesday at this time for the Wildcat Wrap-up here on 580 Sports Talk. Fitz, pivoting to football, scary situation, scary development with George Fitzpatrick, the offensive line transfer from Ohio State, who appeared to suffer or has suffered a medical emergency during a practice and had to undergo a medical procedure. Obviously, there's not much that's really known about this, and that's certainly understandable. And for the sake of the privacy of the Fitzpatrick family and George Fitzpatrick, we won't speculate. We won't delve any further into that. But the on-field impact of this, Fitzpatrick was trending towards being the day one starter at left tackle for K-State. If he cannot be the day one starter at left tackle, what does that position then look like for the Wildcats?
That's a good point. He was the left tackle. I mean, he came in and took control of that position. I think the reemergence of John Pastore is a kid that is physically able to play because he missed spring ball. He was injured last season, but Chris Kleiman said in Frisco that he's ready to go. He's 100%. He looks great. So maybe that helps them there. You know, there's entirely the possibility that this is just a scare. We'll find out. It's a medical condition nobody is discussing, but our suspicion from what we've been told is it's heat related, and that could be very serious. But it also can be, a form of heat stroke where you're just less heat tolerant in the future. We'll find out. I'm sure we'll eventually find out. We'll ask him about it when he's up and going, but let's just hope he's, for his sake, setting football aside, he's good to go for life, that this didn't damage him in any way with his career or just living your life the way you want to.
You mentioned John Pastore. He's a guy who came up a little bit during conversations at Big 12 Media Days. I know Chris Kleiman talked about him as somebody who is starting to emerge. The size is there. Like he's one of those guys who's going to pass the getting off the bus test. What has maybe kept him, other than, the guys in front of him on the depth chart, of being able to take that step forward? And is he somebody who Kansas State looks at and sees as somebody who could handle that left tackle position for an extended period?
Quite could be. I mean, what's kept him off was, first, it was development, and he started to get there last season, and then he got hurt. And it was a back injury, I believe. So that was worrisome that, it could be lingering. A back injury for an offensive lineman isn't good. And it sounds like they got it corrected. He's good to go. He looks healthy. He's playing well. He's moving around well from everything we're being told. And I got to admit, though, the amount of props Chris Kleiman gave him at Big 12 Media Days surprised me a little bit because I thought they were, kind of set at tackle, but maybe they're not. Maybe he's mixed that up, and maybe he stepped forward at just the right time based on everything else going on right now.
Tim Fitzgerald is our guest. This is the Wildcat Wrap-up here on 580 Sports Talk. On a recent episode of the PowerCat podcast, there was some talk about special teams. And I know that's been an area more of frustration the last couple of years than maybe ever has been in the modern era of Kansas State football. And it's not as though the big play possibilities haven't existed for the return game. Dylan Edwards had the punt return touchdown against Arizona last year. But it's been lots of little mistakes, coverage busts, the issue with the snaps last year that was harmful in the Houston game, little things on the margins hurting on special teams. How does K-State get back to a more solid footing on special teams in your mind in 2025?
Just don't screw up. Even if nothing magical happens, like a Dylan Edwards return or a 61-yard field goal. Even if you don't get any of that, don't hurt yourself with special teams. And that's what they did. You mentioned the snapping and holding issues they had. They had some other things that went wrong. They just didn't seem very well defined in any element. But on the flip side of that, Chris Tennant hit a field goal that won the game against your rival. It was an impressive 53-yard kick. So, it's been kind of hot and cold in special teams. I'll take lukewarm. But I think we're all used to, anyone who's seen K-State football through the years knows that has been the secret of the sauce. Right there has been special teams. How many close games have they won because of a special teams play? It would be a great stat to try to dig up. I don't want to do it because you go back a long time, but special teams in many ways is exactly how K-State football became a success.
Who is going to kick for the Wildcats? Chris Tennant had the job last year, did a fine job, bounced back from some shakiness earlier in his career, really finished his career at K-State on a high note. Who's next in line at kicker? I know there's going to be a competition for it, but any idea who might have an edge for the gig?
No. I mean, and they might divvy it up. They've done field goals and kickoffs separately, and I imagine they'll do that again. I'm not sure. I don't know that he'll start because he's just a freshman. I'm rooting for Cub Patton because I like to say Cub Patton. Someone named their son Cub, and I think he should be rewarded with stardom for that. But I don't know. It is an important concern, and it's something we will dig in on Monday when we have a press conference with Chris Kleiman.
It's Monday. See, I've got
Monday.
Yeah, my head is spinning with all the stuff and who's in camp.
Yep.
It starts for everybody, and it gets my head to spinning. So my apologies for making you think you had more work to do than you actually did, or sooner than you actually had to do it. I suppose.
I panicked.
Yeah, that's my bad. That's my bad on that. Yeah, it looks like Cub Patton is the young man's given name. That he was given that name at birth, or at the very least, there's no full name in his K-State online bio at kstatesports.com. So yeah, if they named him Cub, his siblings have more normal name, Maya and Levi. So yeah, he got the fun name in the Patton family, I guess.
Well, he's probably named after his dad, Grizzly.
Now, dad's name is Lance. That would have been a great bit, though. Do all your kids named after bears?
Oh, that'd been great. Yeah, I mean, just after animals. Come on, that'd been great.
Or all your kids
Fish.
are named after Chicago professional sports teams. You could have Bear and Cub and White Sox and Bull. White Sox a bit of a stretch. I don't think anybody's these days. Nobody's naming their kids after the White Sox.
You can go with Whitey.
Him and Blackhawk, that would be an interesting pair.
Yeah.
Tim Fitzgerald from GoPowerCat.com is our guest for the Wildcat Wrap-Up. He does this every Wednesday with us, and we're so grateful that he does. Go check out the staff at GoPowerCat.com. Go be a VIP subscriber. Now's a great time to do it with football season just ahead. Fitz, always a pleasure. We'll do it again next week.
Thank you, my friend.
That is Tim Fitzgerald. We will take a time out here at 580 Sports Talk, come back and wrap up this 4 o'clock hour. Wrapping up this 4 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk. One more hour to hang out with you today. We'll take your votes on the text line, 785-272-9429, and in the YouTube chat. If you're watching on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk. Who do you want to hear from today? You want to hear from Spags or you want to hear from Chris Jones? We're going to play some audio from Chiefs training camp. You want to hear from Spags, Steve Spagnuolo, defensive coordinator, or do you want to hear from defensive tackle Chris Jones? Spags is going to be a little more substantive. Chris Jones is going to be a little more humorous, generally. Who do you want to hear from? Program the show. This is your chance to program a segment of 580 Sports Talk. This is your chance to sit in my chair and do what I do, make the hard decisions that I got to make, why I get paid the big bucks. Around, I couldn't say with a straight face. You get to program a segment of the show. You want to hear from Spags? You want to hear from Chris Jones? Let us know. We didn't get to talk about this because we didn't have a show immediately following last night's game. Rich Hill looked good, man. For 45 years old, that was as good as you could possibly have hoped it would be from a 45-year-old making his first big league start in 2 years last night for the Royals. Rich Hill goes 5 innings, gives up 3 runs, only 1 earned. Royals kicked the ball around the second inning. A Nick Lofton made an error. Salvador Perez dropped what should have been a double play ball. Very real chance the Royals should have gotten out of that inning with no runs allowed, and indeed both runs were unearned. Couple of strikeouts, couple of walks. I don't think they could have asked for anything more than Rich Hill. Like they'll take that in 5 days. If he's got to start again, they'll sign up for exactly that in 5 days if they can get it. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah. I will read you what my girlfriend said last night. You saw on the text thread last night.
Sure. You were watching the game with Olivia last night.
Yes. The appearance of 45-year-old Rich Hill, he looks like he should be throwing pitches in coach pitch little league, not to major league hitters.
He is in his mid-40s. That is how old I will be when I'm throwing coach pitch to Asher. Well, he should be beyond well, he's 7 when I'm 45. Maybe coach pitch. That'd probably be coach pitch. You don't want 7-year-olds pitching. You don't want none of that.
No, you don't.
So that's how old I'll be when you tell Olivia she hurt my feelings a little bit. I'm kidding, of course. He did. I was not prepared for how 45 years old Rich Hill was going to look.
Olivia also thought he made his major league debut last night, and I was like, no. She goes, well, that's good.
That would be a movie.
Yes,
that would be the rookie, like rookie part 2. But no, I thought Rich Hill. It was fun, and it was as good as they could have hoped it would be. Headlines, Chiefs audio, and more. Final hour, 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Final hour of the day here on this Wednesday on 580 Sports Talk. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis, rocking with you here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and on Facebook at WIBW News. Thanks for being here. We appreciate you hanging out. We were on a little late today following a Royals dub on the north side, an 8-4 win as the Royals take the series from the Chicago Cubs. A humiliated Brendan Dworzynski is off today. He's been off. Not hiding from the reality that his Cubs are weak like puny children, and the Royals are strong like mighty bulls.
Hey, he is going to have to eat some fast food that he probably didn't.
He does. He lost the fast food bet with Trenton, so he and Trenton are going to make a little stop on the way to Emporia for MIAA Football Media Day on Monday.
Oh, it's an Emporia.
Yeah, we moved it to Emporia.
Interesting.
I don't know if that is more centrally located than Kansas City or if they were just more willing to host it. I don't know, but yeah, shorter drive for the guys down the turnpike for Brendan and Trenton. They 2/3 of the broadcast team for Washburn Ichabod football this coming fall over on our sister station, home of the Ichabods, Country 106.9. We'll get some MIAA football stuff on the show next week. No question about it. We'll have to get head coach Zach Watkins on the program, hear from him before the start of the new season as well. Still to come on this final hour of the program today. The listeners have spoken. They want to hear from Steve Spagnuolo.
Yeah, they do.
So it'll be Spags that we hear from here in just a little bit. It's practice day number 2, camp day number 3 for the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll have some reaction of our own to that. We'll hear from Spags. We'll continue our Chiefs countdown to kickoff as well. 44 days out. Actually, somebody who's appeared in regular season games for the Chiefs. It feels like it's been a while since we've had one of those. But we do. We have a real live, bona fide member of the Kansas City Chiefs. Somebody who has played, somebody who has a Super Bowl ring, in fact, with the Kansas City Chiefs. So we will get to in our Chiefs countdown to kickoff as we are 44 days away from the start of the Chiefs season, their week 1 game in Brazil against the Chargers. We'll also play a little One Gotta Go. We'll have a little fun before we get out of here. It's a short day. We're short timing it today. I took a longer lunch than I usually do because I had the time to do it and went out to lunch with my wife. We had Indian food. You ever had Indian food, Spencer Dupuis?
I'm not a fan.
Not a fan.
I had a bad time, not personally eating it, but when I was in high school, I worked at a soccer park, and a lot of Indians would come and play. What's that game? Not cricket. I mean, cricket. Yes, cricket. They re-rented it out to a group of cricket players, and they would bring curry, but that doesn't really mix with running in the hot heat and playing sports. I'll just leave it at that.
It doesn't feel like it would mix to me.
Well, as the person there, the only person there, yeah, I had to clean up an aisle curry. We'll leave it at that.
Okay. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, if that had
left
been
a disdain in my life there.
That had been my first experience, maybe I wouldn't have liked it. I did not try Indian food until I was like 35. I had gone my whole life and had not had that experience. And my wife and her family, they we got the Globe downtown here in Topeka, and I'd never been. And they took me to the Globe, and I'm like, this is actually really good. The trick is finding something you like.
Oh yeah, you find out one thing you like, and you get it every time.
You figure out what you like, and you go from there. My wife likes the chicken korma, and really enjoys the naan. And I'm always more willing to try new things. That's just the dynamic with my wife. I don't know how it is when you and Olivia go out, but when Abby and I go out, doesn't matter the restaurant. If we've been there before, Abby has a favorite. And usually Abby will land on a favorite or one of her like 2 or 3 favorites in a certain place. I am all over the map. I will try new things. I will just go with, this sounds better to me today than it did maybe like 3 months ago when we were here. So I'm going to order this instead. I tried something new today. We went to the Indian Bistro actually on 29th and Wanamaker here. And I usually get the tikka marsala. Today I got the tikka tandoori. So And the best way I can describe the tandoori to you is fajitas. It's Indian fajitas.
Interesting.
That's the best way I can describe it to you. And it was delicious, and I've got leftovers for tomorrow, which I'm very excited about. Big fan of Indian food. I cannot believe it took me that long in my life to try Indian food. Vance recommends pad thai next time. Vance, funny you should say that. The Royals have another day game next Wednesday, and it's my wife's last week before she has to go back to work. And we're going to go get Thai food. We've already made that plan. We're going to go get Thai food. So, Vance, you are reading my mind, man. We are going to do pad thai next Wednesday for a little lunch date before the crushing reality of returning to work for Abby. I'm sure Olivia's going through the same thing.
She's already been at work.
Well, I'm sure she's been there, like getting everything in her classroom organized.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah. She was just there earlier today.
And you put you get the flex time in, so you have a full day off during the school year.
Yeah,
that's huge.
She's all about that.
That's crucial. Got to get the flex time.
Now we're at the point of deciding where we want to go. So next Thursday is our anniversary.
Okay,
but I think we're gonna wait till Friday and make it like a whole date night.
Sure.
So I think we're gonna go somewhere downtown. Then we want to go to that golf place.
T-Box is fun.
Yeah,
T-Box is a blast. Have you been to Taco yet?
No.
Might be worth thinking about.
Yeah, we're in the planning stages.
Sure. Some good options down there.
Yeah, there's a lot of good options. We want to go back to the place where we like though, but then it's like, well, then we haven't tried a new place, so it's so hard to decide where you want to eat when you know you like a place.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, but there's also a bunch of other places that are probably very good.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Listen, I think very highly of the food we have here in Topeka. I think there are a lot of really good restaurants here. Like I've found Chinese that I really like. I found obviously Indian that I really like. Found Mexican that I really like, and that's no small feat because I can be real picky about it. We got a place like the Wheelbarrow, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Like there's lots of like really good places to eat here. Like I am satisfied as I'm no foodie, but I like a good meal, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't want to do like there's a time and a place to go to Chili's, right? Or go to Texas Roadhouse or go to Olive Garden, like the chain places. Those are comfort food, and this is not me talking down on any of those places. But sometimes you want to go get something that's unique to your area. That's a locally owned business, and I think we do really well in that department here in Topeka, which is something I really didn't recognize my first few years living here because I was single and it was super easy for me to just like grab a bag of Wendy's and get back to my apartment after the show was over and play video games till 1:00. Brother, I can't even stay up until 1:00 anymore. The other night I went to bed at 8:30.
Yeah,
8:30. I don't even recognize myself anymore, man. I was the night owl of night owls. Well, I shouldn't say that because I know Brendan.
Of all people, Brendan.
But man, I used to be the night owl, and yeah, the other night I went to bed at 8:30. That's what having a 1-year-old will do to you, man. That's what that is.
I mean, I went upstairs last night to grab something, and 20 minutes later, Olivia's yelling up, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Sorry, I just knocked out for like
Knocked it off
for 15 minutes."
Respect. You're ready. Then you're ready.
Well, it
for
was
that.
also I went to go grab something, and then I was like, "Oh, the Royals are gonna lose this game. I know there's no offense to be had," and I was right at that aspect.
Yeah, there wasn't much beyond Rich Hill's outing to keep you invested in last night's Royals game, but they were winners earlier today, 8-4, and come back, got a chance to be within 3.5 of a playoff spot. Remember, started the week 5.5 back of a playoff spot.
Yeah.
They could get to 3.5 back if Philadelphia beats Boston tonight. So we can do some scoreboard watching. Seattle has already lost. Minnesota's down in the 8th, but they're rallying. They've got the tying and go-ahead runs on or they got the bases loaded now with nobody out in the top of the 8th against what is suddenly a disaster of a Dodgers bullpen. So Minnesota may win. Cleveland's trying to stay hot. They got Baltimore tonight. But yeah, keep an eye on Boston, Philadelphia night. Game will be on ESPN, so you can watch it, do some live scoreboard watching. And if Boston loses, Royals are just 3.5 out of a playoff spot, coming back for a 6-game homestand. We got to get to our 580 Sports Talk headlines. And as much as I would like to start with the biggest news of the day, that for the first time in 220 games, the Colorado Rockies have shut out an opponent. Thank you for the applause. They shut out the Cardinals 6-0 this afternoon. Tanner Gordon and 2 relievers on the combined shutout effort. Yeah, the Rockies are bad. 220 games without a shutout. I believe that was a modern era record. Something like that.
It's okay.
For the most games between shutouts. That's a season and like 2 months.
Yeah.
Of games. Yeah, really bad. Anyway,
I'm glad we have two bad teams to bond over because like the Nationals got shut out by the Reds today and they didn't have a horrible game. Like you put out Soroka.
Yeah.
Who's, a veteran, Michael Soroka, 27 years old. He has a good game, but guess what? The offense, non-existent, just like the Royals last night.
So a texter points out, we want to hear from you on the text line this hour, 785-272-9429. Also in the YouTube live chat if you are watching on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. The Pirates just sweep the Tigers?
That might have happened. I'm going to look.
That sure did happen. How about that? How about that?
Skeens wasn't pitching.
He pitched the other night. He pitched today. Some dude I never heard of was pitching for the Tigers. He had a grand slam in the first inning.
He doesn't have a picture on ESPN.
That's never good. Anytime you're throwing a guy. So don't
Troy
look now.
Nelson.
Don't look now. But the division lead for Detroit is only 8.5 over Cleveland. Only 10 over the Royals and Twins. It's getting close. It's not really getting close. But, Tigers are in a funk. 1-9 in their last 10. So it ebbs and flows, man. You got to ride the highs and wait out the lows because this stuff ebbs and flows, and there is still so much baseball left to be played. That's not the headline of the day. Do have some Royals headlines, though, that we will get to. Probably were aware of this roster move if you did see the game earlier today and saw a familiar face out in left field. MJ Melendez back with the big club. I don't know about you. I had a moment of sheer terror when I saw the news. Old friend, former co-host of 580 Sports Talk, my former co-host in Wichita, Alex Gold, actually broke the news.
Yeah.
That MJ was coming up from AAA. And when I saw that, and I didn't see a corresponding move, and I saw Bobby Witt Jr. out of the lineup today,
You had a little momentary freak out.
I may have had a small stroke. I may have had a moment of terror. But no, it is not Bobby Witt Jr. to the IL. He was held out of today's game as a precaution, but likely to play this weekend. It's Nick Lofton going to the 7-day concussion IL for the Royals. So MJ, who's been tearing the cover off the ball for the last month in AAA, and not saying that sarcastically, he really has been hitting well over 300 with big power. Maybe he's figured something out, turned a corner down there, but he'll be with the big club for at least the next 7 days as Nick Lofton placed on the concussion injured list. Royals also made another minor league transaction today, acquiring veteran right-handed reliever Joey Krehbiel from Tampa Bay in exchange for cash. It's actually Krehbiel, my mistake. The pronunciation guy didn't load quickly enough for me. Krehbiel has not appeared in a major league game this year for Tampa Bay, but has appeared in 70 major league games with a career high of 56 of those coming in 2022 with Baltimore. Made 6 appearances for Baltimore last season. 32-year-old right-hander, strictly depth at this point, and the Royals do not have to add him to the 40-man roster, which made him an attractive depth piece to add for the Royals. They didn't have to remove somebody from the 40-man roster. So probably not a name that you'll need to know immediately, but a veteran with some big league experience in the Omaha bullpen, just in case the Royals need him. Joey Krehbiel acquired today from Tampa Bay.
They also made a move yesterday, which I was going to tell you. I was going to mess with you yesterday.
Oh, no, I saw this. They acquired Julio Rodriguez.
Yeah, they got Julio E. Rodriguez.
They made a trade with Seattle, and they got Julio Rodriguez in return, but not that one.
The catcher, the minor league catcher.
I'm sure he feels relieved that he's not the other Julio Rodriguez in the Seattle organization
poor man's
anymore.
Julio Rodriguez.
Yeah, he probably feels pretty good about that, honestly.
Yeah.
Probably feels pretty good. Interesting to note, though, minor league catcher. That's the position of depth in the Royals organization. If they're going to make a big trade at the deadline to go get a guy, it's probably going to come from their stable of catchers, whether it's Ramon Ramirez, Carter Jensen, Blake Mitchell, one of those three. Just something that could be a move that presages some other things for the Royals. Anyway, those are your Royals headlines today. Let's get some NFL. We've got a couple of veteran safeties that have found new homes, Spencer.
Yeah, a pair of veteran safeties find homes. Justin Blackmon is the Tyrann Mathieu replacement in
Be Julian Blackmon, not the
Julian Blackmon.
Yeah, not the former wide receiver who drank his way out of the league, Justin Blackmon. No, Julian Blackmon, the former Colt.
Sorry, I was just distracted by something outside.
All good.
Julian Blackmon is Tyrann Mathieu's replacement in New Orleans after he announced his retirement yesterday. And Jamal Adams is going to be back with Pete Carroll. He signs with the Raiders in Vegas right as training camps opening up out there. Like a lot of players, they want to go right when training camp starts.
Yeah, a lot of veteran guys. Man, I remember how psyched I was when the Seahawks traded for Jamal Adams. And he had precisely one good season as a Seahawk. It was his first year. He only played 12 games. But he had 9.5 sacks. He led the team that year with 9.5 sacks. He made the Pro Bowl. Like he was legitimately really good. 2021, he signed a 4-year deal. And then he had 0 sacks, although he at least had 2 interceptions that year, better than the 0 he had the year before. Then he got hurt week 1 in 2022, only played half the season in 2023. The contract was a mistake. The Jamal Adams trade was a mistake. They traded a first-round pick later used to select Garrett Wilson. So, yeah, man. Good luck to Jamal Adams. Wish him all the best. Doesn't seem like a bad guy. Just not as good a Seahawk as I was hoping he would be back in the day. Next headline here on 580 Sports Talk. Let's do this one. It's a bit of a day-old donut. We had it in yesterday's notes, but we didn't get to it. But I think this is interesting. From ESPN.com, ACC to release availability reports before conference games. The ACC will begin releasing public availability reports at least 48 hours before all conference games this football season. That was announced by the commissioner of the league, Jim Phillips, at ACC Media Days yesterday. The conference will require all schools to submit NFL-style reports that categorize players as available, questionable, doubtful, or out, with updates both the day before a game and 2 hours before kickoff. Why make this decision? Well, lots of decisions being made in the name of accommodating sports gambling. And this is another one. Phillips saying, quote, "There's stresses on our student athletes from individuals who are trying to garner information. Sometimes it's pretty innocent. They just want to know because they're a big fan. But other times it leads into the gambling and sports wagering path." Phillips says the availability reports will also be required for basketball and baseball, and the league will institute a fine structure for any school that misuses or does not participate in delivering availability reports on time. Phillips said there was no pushback from any of the coaches in the league when he announced the change this offseason. Another quote from Jim Phillips: "Every coach has to do what they have to do to get their team ready, and there's always gamesmanship. That's been around 100 years. It's going to continue, but availability reporting is the right thing to do." The SEC started doing this last year for conference games. Non-conference games are an exception, both in the SEC and the ACC. ACC will not require its teams to release availability for non-conference games, even if the other conference has the policy to release player availability in their games. So I bring this up to say, you're next, Big 12. Get on it, Brett Yormark. Like, I understand that there's a seaminess to this because, yes, gamblers want to know this stuff. And that's why it's out there, because if the information is public, you don't have people being really creepy and untoward about trying to acquire the information privately. But I want to see this in the Big 12. Like, I think this is information that we ought to be able to know. If the NFL has to make it public, why shouldn't major college football, at the very least, have to make injury information public? At least injury designations. Like, you can be as cagey as you want to be. You can call them upper body injuries and lower body injuries like NFL teams do. If you want to say that shouldn't be our business, then that's fine. But I think it is reasonable to expect that we would have this information. It's 2025. We should have the information as to whether or not a player is going to play before the game kicks off on Saturday.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. And I think not even just from a gambler's perspective, like I was in student radio not even 10 years ago, right? And they don't care about student radio because you're not, the affiliate from Learfield, or, you're not their paid in-house product, right? That they get a sponsorship for. So we never knew anything. We only knew if a player was out that week at the beginning of the week, not if they were hurt. So it would be great. It would be an asset to young people coming up in this industry to know, you get it in the NFL, you get it at the highest leagues. And if you want to make it that far, it's going to help you because they are not always open to you. Like as a student, you're never going to get told, hey, this guy's out. Like it doesn't work like that.
Well, Mark B asked, I think, a pertinent question in the YouTube comments. Isn't that sailing close to the wind with respects to players' privacy rights? I think there are ways around that. Like, again, I think you can be as vague as you want to be. Like, let me see if I can't find like an SEC availability report for a football game from last year and see what they might look like. Yeah, the injuries themselves are not specified. I'm looking for the availability report for the SEC championship game last year, Georgia and Texas. And Texas listed 4 players as out and 1 player as a game time decision. And Georgia listed 1 player as out and 2 players as a game time decision. And again, that was the game day update. So game time decision is a status on game day where you might be questionable or doubtful as the week goes on. But there's still privacy with regards to the nature of the injury that the player is dealing with. So that's how.
That's a HIPAA.
Yeah, that's HIPAA.
HIPAA.
I know it's HIPAA. It's just it was funny to hear like football players all of a sudden got really interested in HIPAA around 2020, 2021. Do you remember that? You remember why? And I think one of them did call it Hippo at one point. And I don't remember who, but I remember that being very funny. Anyway, that's how you get around that, Mark, to answer that question. Anyhow, that's going to do it for our 580 Sports Talk headlines. It's a slow news day. We'll come back. We'll hear from Steve Spagnuolo, talk about what's happening at Chiefs camp next on 580 WIBW. Practice day number 2 at Chiefs camp in St. Joe. Our pal Jesse Newell, Chiefs beat writer of the Kansas City Star, noted some interesting names getting some reps with the first team offense today. A couple of wide receivers, Tyquan Thornton and Jalen Royals. Royals, because I think he's a very similar sort of player to Rashee Rice, and the Chiefs are going to need something similar to what Rice brings when Rashee Rice is not on the field in 2025 for however many games that may be due to his forthcoming, we all expect, NFL suspension for violating the personal conduct policy. So Jalen Royals got a lot of reps and a lot of targets today. You can see that Patrick Mahomes is trying to find a rapport with the rookie out of Utah State right away. Tyquan Thornton is a guy that the Chiefs would really like to see make the team. It's very obvious at this point that the Chiefs want Thornton to make the team. And you can look at Thornton's Pro Football Reference page, and it's not good. Like this is a second-round pick who's done next to nothing in the NFL. 39 career catches in 3 years with the Patriots, who are dying for wide receivers. And a second-round pick, 50th overall pick in the draft, and it just hasn't clicked. It never clicked for Thornton in New England. Sometimes guys benefit from a change of scenery, and sometimes guys benefit from lower expectations. And Tyquan Thornton is not second-round pick Tyquan Thornton in Kansas City. He is wide receiver number 6.
Oh, yeah.
Tyquan Thornton.
He is probably going to make the roster because Rashee Rice is getting suspended.
Well, he was going to he may have had a line on making the roster anyway.
Yeah.
Jesse Newell predicted that he would in his first 53-man roster projection. So, but yeah, even if he makes the team and Rice is out, then he's wide receiver number 5. But he's not a guy you're expecting a whole lot else from. And maybe that helps. That helps some guys to not have the burden of having been a high draft pick, get the big signing bonus, all the hype, all the hope. Thornton can just be a guy who helps on special teams, who can maybe step in some reps and make some plays. He showed really impressive ability in practice. Again, we're talking shorts and shells here. He might be a shorts and shells all-star, but sometimes change of scenery benefits a guy, and the Chiefs are trying to see if Tyquan Thornton can benefit from the change of scenery. Jared Wiley also got some reps with the ones today. Somebody's got to be tight end number 3, right? And Wiley was drafted to be that guy, and he lost a lot of development time last year with the ACL injury. So the Chiefs, I think, are trying to speed his development along. Omar Norman-Lott on defense was somebody that Jesse Newell singled out and noted was getting a lot of run with the ones today. The whole thing about Norman-Lott that's a hesitation for teams when the draft came along was that Norman-Lott was super productive, but he barely played. Like, he played so few snaps for Tennessee last year. And probably, even in a rotational role, is going to be expected to play more NFL snaps than he did SEC snaps last year, which is a lot to ask a young player. So Chiefs are trying to see what he's made of, see how he looks next to Chris Jones. Certainly think he's got more upside than Jerry Tillery or Mike Pennell on a down-to-down basis. So I'm not surprised. I think if there's a guy on that list I'm least surprised to read getting a bunch of run with the starters, it would be Norman-Lott. Because I think the best version of the Chiefs in 2025, Norman-Lott maybe emerges as a starter. And I think it's probably too much to ask him to be as productive as Turk Wharton was last year. But that might be the long-term vision for Norman-Lott, is that that's the kind of player you're getting. You're just getting a younger version.
Yeah. I also saw from, I'm trying to figure out what, Nick Roish. He writes for A to Z Sports. He's a Chiefs guy. He was on Chiefs Wire. He says Jake Brenningstool is also getting a lot of work with the ones. He had a touchdown today.
So good to see him back healthy, right?
Yeah.
Because he had the injury that kept him out of the end of minicamp, but he was a guy at OTAs and rookie camp that was really impressive. So he's got a chance. I would like to see the younger tight ends kept over a guy like Robert Tonyan who I just don't think has much in the tank. I'd rather you keep the younger guys in Wiley and Brenningstool for sure. It is 44 days until Chiefs kickoff. We continue our countdown to Chiefs kickoff. Number 44 for the Chiefs is Cam Jones. How many of you think you can name all the Chiefs who've played in every Chiefs game the last 2 years? Because I bet if you tried, you'd forget about Cam Jones. But he's played in every Chiefs game the last 2 years. An undrafted free agent who's become a special teams ace for this team. Probably a guy I didn't give enough credit when I was doing my prediction for how many roster spots were already spoken for. And I said linebacker is going to be Bolton, Tranquil, Chanel, and then the rookie Bassa out of Oregon. Cam Jones probably on that list. And Cam Jones probably ahead of Bassa just because of what he's given special teams. He's been a no-doubt special teamer, and he has started Week 18 each of the last 2 years. He had 12 tackles against the Broncos last season. So clearly they see some utility with Cam Jones, and that's like every now and again you get the undrafted free agent guys who end up being like huge, like grand slam home runs. Doug Baldwin's my favorite example, the Seahawks receiver of a UDFA who made good. More often than not, the Cam Jones path is like the best outcome for a UDFA, that they become a contributor on special teams, like a core special teamer. And that is Cam Jones. And I got to believe he'll make the 53. Dave Tobe really likes him. Steve Spagnuolo spoke to the media earlier today. I asked you guys who you want to hear from. It was unanimous. You want to hear from Spags. So here's the Chiefs defensive coordinator speaking after today's practice.
The defense the other night, but I just felt compelled to tell them, don't ever take this for granted. Like, you know, it gets hard out here and all that. And I told them, look, you know, at my age, I'm happy to be in the first meeting at training camp, have a job, be healthy enough to do it, right? But these guys don't realize how fast it goes by. I'm realizing it now. But I could see them all when I was talking to them, all nodding. So I think they get it. But we're happy to be here and having some fun out there going against the offense. Not every play was fun, but most of them, we did some good things. So with that, I'll just open up and let you roll.
Do you share that story every year, or just when you felt compelled to do this?
I don't know if probably somewhere in training camp I say that. Listen, I love training camp, being out here and being all football 24/7 as I do on game day. But I don't know, maybe because I'm getting up there in age, I think about it a little bit more. But I think they all got the message, which is good.
Now that George has signed a long-term deal, can you maybe expand on why he's so important to the defense and why he's such a great fit for the Chiefs?
Yeah, I mean, probably the first thing that sticks out with George is his character. I mean, the one thing that Brett and Andy do a great job of, we bring in a lot of good character guys. That's huge, in my opinion, in today's pro sports, because usually when you're a high character guy, you're unselfish. George has got all of that, and then his ability and his intelligence. I mean, I can remember when Joe and I did the Zoom call with George, because I think he was the COVID draft, and you guys would remember better than me, and I just remember that came out in a Zoom interview, all of that, how much he loved football, high character guy, and Brett does a great job keeping those guys here.
Speaking of offense, we were talking about, there's good plays, there's bad plays. They're trying to emphasize going deep much more often. Just for you, just trying to get your guys to defend that. And when do you see those observations?
I'd say, I don't like them when they happen. However, because look at, you can't touch the quarterback, so it's a longer down. But hopefully it makes us better in eliminating those, because those will kill you in the game. I can remember 1 or 2 there today. But listen, the offenses will make us better by doing that in terms of taking away those deep plays, because big plays and explosive plays in this league, when you give them up, usually that doesn't bode well for points allowed. So they help us there. And then the one thing we try to do, like I'm going to flip it around, like you always see our guys kind of punching at the football, which we emphasize. I just think it helps the offensive guys, cling to it. Yeah, I'm real excited about Jamari. I just watch him out there. He's become a little bit of a multiple position guy, which is a good thing. I think you're going to see him at, you're certainly going to see him at nickel. You're going to see him at safety. And then if we get into some more exotic personnel packages, he'll be in there. I think he's an explosive athlete. We got to get out on the field.
Steve, sort of related to what you were saying before, but Patrick often talks about how he benefits from going against your defense as he can. I wonder if you think of it that way in terms of challenges you try to pose him specifically, but also what it does do for you guys to work against him?
With all the things that the offense does?
Yeah. Specifically, too, like how it's challenged him.
Yeah, listen, more than anything, Patrick out here makes us play the hold down. I'm always yelling at Chris because he's not pass rushing the hold down, so I gotta get him out. But I tell him not to chase him too much. I don't want to pull. What was that week that we chased Patrick and we pulled the? It was like playoff or something, right? Yeah. So we got a special rule for Chris on that. But getting back to for what he does and what we do offensively, I think that makes us be prepared for a lot of things during the year.
And do you think specifically of him in some ways?
Patrick? Yeah, because this league, listen, it seems like every week, it's probably not it. There aren't very many quarterbacks in the league now that aren't athletic, dynamic, extend the down. And Patrick does this every snap here, and that makes us better.
Go ahead, Nate.
Steve, it appears that Andy's sort of message to the guys is about urgency, using that as a word to sort of emphasize camp. How do you, with your guys' balance, trying to appreciate every day, it's long, but also emphasize urgency, the balance in those situations? Yeah.
So we normally talk about building a foundation. We're always saying rock solid foundation. And listen, I try to, it gets shorter and shorter every year in my opinion. It feels like it, the preparation to get ready. And we were hopeful, and I think most of the guys did a good job of it. When they left after the OTAs, that had to still be a work time for them. Because when you get here, you can't, in 1983, I was an intern with the Washington Redskins. We went to training camp on July 6th. There was 120 rookies for 2 weeks. There were 6 preseason games because there were 14 games then, right? And so you had all this, you had all this time in training camp to kind of get your body ready. That's what the vets did. It's different now. So the sense of urgency to be ready when you come in and then build it as we're here is really important. But to us right now, it's all about building the foundational pieces that we need during the season.
We're going to go Matt, and then we'll do our last one.
Coach, you mentioned, this not lasting forever. Tyrann Mathieu announced his retirement yesterday. Your thoughts on just his career and what he meant. Yeah,
man, I'm glad you brought that up. These young guys with the phones and stuff, it was like they immediately knew. I didn't know. I just had I love, how I feel about Tyrann. I'm waiting right now to send a text or a phone call because I know he's getting inundated. But I want to try to probably get him on the day off. Special guy. I mean, we came here in 2019, Tyrann and I together, and he was a key piece to what we were doing. And we started off a little rough, but got better and better. But I love Tyrann Mathieu. I'm really excited for what he'll do something great going forward. He might end up being the president. Who knows? I mean, he's a dynamic guy, but I think he'll stay somehow in athletics or football. That's my guess.
You also mentioned, you're back in OTAs. Noah Williams was swimming.
Yeah.
How's he looking like?
Much better. Yeah, I think those guys, when they come in young, it's the volume gets on them. It's all new. There's anxiety. But I thought he came in pretty good shape coming in here, and I'm excited to see what he can do right on through. We're going to get him against some better competition as we go, and we'll see what he can do.
Last one right over here. Heading into another training camp with Nick, obviously got to extend him in the offseason. What has he meant to this defense over the years?
Yeah, he's just about everything. He's Patrick Mahomes for us. I've said this before, and we're pretty multiple defensively. So if you don't have that guy, it gets really challenging. I had back when we didn't know we were getting Nick, because it was I had to, in my mind, I was preparing. If we don't have Nick, what do we do? And it's just not the same. So thank God he's here. Yeah. That it? Good.
How's Steve Spagnuolo? They were never letting Nick Bolton get away.
Never.
He was never. That was the easiest decision they made all offseason.
Oh, yeah.
They wanted, I think Spags would have followed him out of town. They hadn't given Nick Bolton that extension. Love hearing him talk about Bolton and all his guys. You can just hear the affection that he's got for all these guys on that defense. We'll take a timeout, come back, play a game of One Gotta Go next here on 580 WIBW. Well, musical interlude before one got to go here on 580 Sports Talk. I had one, but I'm struggling to piece together what it was. So if you want to go first today, Spencer, for the one got to go.
Yes. This one thing is starting to become a really big thing, and the other just seems at this point pointless. They've already taken down one or gone from 4 to 3 with it. One's got to go: joint practices or preseason games. If you could only have one for the rest of eternity.
I would get rid of the preseason games. I think the teams get more out of the joint practices, and but the preseason games are, I think the team. Let me put it to you this way: I think the teams, and maybe even the players, would say the joint practices. I think a lot of fans, and I think certain players' family members, would say with the preseason games, because the preseason game is sometimes the opportunity you get to play in an NFL game in an NFL stadium wearing an NFL uniform. That's a big deal for the 90th guy in camp, right? Like that's something, that's an experience that still means something. Even if it's the fourth quarter of preseason game number 1 and there are 7,000 people left sitting in Arrowhead Stadium, you still played in an NFL game. You still accomplished your goal, your dream in that capacity. So I think that there is some value still to the preseason game, but I think the teams themselves would probably say, yeah, just let us have some joint practices and we'll hit the ground running. We'll play real football. And we won't extort the fans by charging them regular season prices for preseason games.
One thing I do like about preseason games now is that all of them, they're all either live or replayed on NFL Network.
That's true.
Every game.
That's true.
My thought on this is I think you have one preseason game, and then I think you do 2 joint practices in the stadiums. Like a lot of teams do joint practices during training camp, but you do it at the stadium, and then you can have as many people show up as you want. You charge them like $5 to get in, and there you go.
My one got to go today. Gummy candy. The gummy bear, the gummy worm, the gummy lifesaver, or the Nerds gummy cluster. One's got to go. Which one are you getting rid of?
Go through the list.
The gummy bear, the humble gummy bear, the gummy worm, the gummy lifesaver, or the Nerds gummy cluster, which are very popular these days.
Take away the lifesaver.
Really?
Hey, you got your classic gummy bears, and then you got your gummy worm, which you use in your little
dirt and worms.
Your dirt and worms.
Normalize adults ordering the dirt and worms. I get it every time I go to Freddy's.
They at my complex, they were giving them out. At my complex, they do little, like, every month they do some kind of treat day where they, you pay a lot of money to live in this apartment complex. We'll give you something. Like a couple weeks ago, it was tacos in a bag. It was Doritos,
Okay, yeah, sure.
And then that one time it was
dirt and worms,
and I was like, "This is awesome."
Yeah.
The nostalgia is so nice.
That rocks.
Yeah.
So I literally on that one I cannot choose. I love them all equally. The Nerds gummy clusters go so crazy. That's like the newest great innovation in candy. If I had to get rid of one from that list, if you made me as a gummy purist, I might get rid of the gummy clusters just because they're not a gummy in the same way that the lifesavers and the bears and the worms are. But I love gummy candy. I'm a very gummy forward diet. Me and DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf also a big. That's why we have the same body type. Him and DK and I. That's why we're built the same. We the same muscle structure and abs because we both love gummy candy so much. Text from 785 says, "Get rid of the Nerds ones." That sounds like somebody who's never tried them.
Yep.
They are awesome. Mark B in the YouTube comment says, "Gummies got to go." What? The whole genre? No. Outrageous. False. They're best candy there is. Vance says, "Get the worms out of here." I respect your argument, though, that the worms are the dirt worms.
Yeah. That's what I think of when I think of gummy worms.
Here's another one from 785. Get rid of the gummy lifesavers. I don't know, man.
That's what I'm thinking. I don't know.
The wild berry gummy lifesavers go so crazy. I'm going to have to go buy some candy. I think I've got a bag of gummy clusters sitting at home. I met them for the road trip down to Dallas, and I never ended up eating them or finishing them. So I think that might be dessert tonight.
Have you ever had gummy clusters in the freezer?
No.
Apparently, Olivia puts them in the freezer. I opened up the freezer. I said, "Hey, did you mean to put these in here?" And she was like, "Yeah."
I'm going to have to think on that. I'm going to ponder that. In the meantime, we're going to take a break. And we'll come back with our final word next. Final word time here on 580 Sports Talk. Spencer Dupuis, what you got?
If today was Seth Lugo's last start for the Royals, 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs earned, 2 walks, 6 Ks, some run support. Wow, that was a great run for Seth Lugo. If this is indeed the last one, if they trade him before his next start ahead of next week's deadline. Much respect to Seth Lugo, who pretty much was along with Cole Reagans last year, the guy for the team.
Yeah, he was terrific today, and Vinny Pasquantino was terrific, and Salvador Perez remains terrific, and Tyler Tolbert hit his first big league home run. Then, unfortunately, had to leave the game when he cramped up in the 8th inning. It gets hot and humid midday in Chicago in July. It happens, but that was a cool moment for Tyler Tolbert. You know, it's really tempting, and goodness knows I've done it. You look at Tyler Tolbert, in particular, you look at his usage as a player, and you think, well, this is just Terrence Gore, except they're more willing to give him at-bats. And now maybe you saw why the Royals have been slightly more willing to give him at-bats than they were to give Terrence Gore at-bats. One time on this show, this is true, Spencer, when Terrence Gore was in the starting lineup for a game, I said I would eat a sock on the air if Terrence Gore hit a home run. And thankfully, I never had to eat a sock. But I might have bet a sock that Tyler Tolbert wasn't going to hit a home run today, and he sure enough did. And the Royals get a series win against a good team, outplayed a good team over 27 innings there in Chicago. That's worth noting. We're back tomorrow from 3 until 6. For Spencer Dupuis, I'm Dan Lucero. This is 580 Sports Talk. Good night.